Hey everyone, it's me and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me drawing my top 3 favorite Studio Ghibli movies in my style. I was originally going to do top 5, but I think once you get into the top 5, at least for me, it becomes a little bit harder to narrow the field because I pretty much like all Studio Ghibli movies, at least ones that I've seen. I've not seen like My Neighbors the Yamadas, Pompoko, The Cat Returns, or Grave of the Fireflies, but I think I've seen all of the rest of them. Oh, I haven't seen the most recent one that came out, The Boy and the Heron, but that's just because I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. Most of the other Ghibli movies I actually have on either Blu-ray or DVD, and that's because I like to rewatch them. I like the art style of these movies. I like the kind of meandering storytelling pace. They're just very comforting to watch. And my number 3 Studio Ghibli movie, if you can't guess yet, is Howl's Moving Castle. And the reason that this is in my top 3, well, there are a few reasons. One is because it's kind of a romance between Howl and Sophie, but very subtly romantic. And I like romance stories, so that kind of automatically puts this a little bit higher in my ranking. I also just really like Howl as a character. I have a thing for pretty boys, and he very much is a pretty boy. I like him because he's a very flawed character as well. He's vain, he's childish, and he's cowardly, but you can see his unique charms in the movie as well. He's a very likable and charismatic and charming character. He's just a delight to watch. He's super magical, whimsical, literally sweep you off your feet and fly you over the rooftops in the city type of guy. And honestly, Sophie's a super likable character too. When she initially gets transformed into the old woman, she is so funny. Like, one of my favorite lines from the movie is when she says, "I'm fatter than ever, and yet the wind cuts right through me." She just melds into the old lady role so seamlessly, and that's honestly part of Sophie's flaws, is that she's just like prematurely senile and old for no reason. She's very like down on herself, and not in like a, oh, I hate myself, low self-esteem kind of way, but almost in her own kind of cowardly way. She refuses to stand up for herself and just lets life pass her by. And so obviously by encountering Howl in his moving castle and Calcifer, his fire demon, she kind of comes out of her shell over the movie and learns to have self-confidence and recognize her worth. And I really like those sort of storytelling elements and the subtlety of the storytelling. As I mentioned, he has a fire demon that lives in his castle in the fireplace named Calcifer. In the English dub, he's voiced by Billy Crystal, and he is a very funny character. Just super cute as well. Even though he's a fire demon, he's just a cute little flame. There are other things about this movie that are really unique and interesting to me. Like most Ghibli movies, there's really not a super clear-cut villain from the beginning. You think it's going to be the Witch of the Waste, but it's not. She becomes part of, I guess you'd say, part of the family because she's thwarted by an even greater threat. Most of you have seen Howl's Moving Castle. I will note that I have read the book, and the book and the movie are 2 totally different stories, so one I wouldn't say is better than the other. Like most people would say the book is better than the movie, but in Howl's Moving Castle, they're both unique experiences. I actually think I might like Howl's personality in the books even better than in the movies. He's even more annoying in the books, but somehow that makes him even more charming. Second up, you can probably tell by now, is Porco Rosso. And I feel like Porco Rosso is a sort of underrated Ghibli movie. You don't tend to see Porco Rosso represented in, like, for instance, merch very often. I think that's a shame. I guess maybe because, like, Marco, or aka Porco Rosso, is like a pig man, so he's not like cute like, let's say, Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service is cute. But I actually do find him cute, and that's one of the reasons why Porco Rosso's in my top 3. I think that Porco Rosso's character design is really excellent. He, as a character, is super interesting because he's been cursed to look like a pig. And there is insinuation in the movie that it's because of perhaps some like misogyny that he carries, that he was cursed to be a pig. but it's never really explained. He's just kind of a pig for no real explicit reason, but you do get the sense that he is waiting for someone to come along and break the curse for him, though he never says that. The girl I've drawn him with is not his love interest. This girl in the drawing, her name is Fio, and she is his engineer for his airplane that he has built. And she's a super, like, girl power type character, but not in, like, a annoying way. Like, a lot of, like, girl bosses in movies nowadays are kind of forced, inorganic. But she's a very, like, organic girl boss character. And Porco Rosso learns to look past his preconceived notions about young women to work with her, and that's a big part of his character arc in the movie. But overall, I think the movie is very just funny and lighthearted in a certain sense, while also, you know, carrying some heavy themes like fascism, because the movie takes place during World War II, or like this fictionalized version of World War II. He's a bounty hunter, and so he, you know, takes on air pirates, and a lot of the air pirates in the movie are very funny. At the beginning of the movie, they try to kidnap these, like, little elementary school age girls, and the little girls just find it so entertaining and funny that they have been kidnapped by pirates and are not cooperating with the pirates and are kind of treating it like it's a fun little day out. And that scene is so funny, and that's one of those ones that, like, when I watched the movie for the first time, kind of cemented it in my head as, like, iconic and enjoyable, and just, I always like coming back to this movie, and it's one of my husband's favorites as well, so we like to rewatch it together. Overall, I feel like I said that that this movie is underrated, and I wish that more people would watch and enjoy Porco Rosso, so this is my plug. If you haven't seen this Ghibli movie yet, give it a watch. I think it's very accessible to Western audiences as well, probably because of, like, the common, like, World War II wartime themes that are very common in Western movies. The last and my number one ranked Ghibli movie is Laputa, Castle in the Sky, and I don't rewatch this one probably as much as Howl's Moving Castle or Porco Rosso, which would make you think, well, why is it your number one? Well, the reason I don't rewatch it as much is because it's a little bit more serious in tone than the other two, I guess, but also it seems very long. But the reason that's my number one is because of many reasons, but like I said, I like romance, and obviously this one's not really as romantic as Howl's Moving Castle, but there's just a very cute and sweet, I guess you call it chemistry, just a wholesome relationship between the male and female lead, Patsu being the male lead and Shita being the female lead. I like Shita particularly as a character because she's very feminine and sweet seeming, but she's so incredibly brave and strong, but just in a very feminine way, and I feel like characters like her are missing in a lot of media nowadays. A character who's unapologetically girly while also being very pivotal and important to a movie plot. And Patsu, on the other hand, he's just so wholesome. He's just so likable and, like, is basically the best boy ever. And I also really like, in terms of character design, the robots that they encounter. The design of those robots is so charming and cute while also being sort of eerie. I also, of course, like the pirates, the air pirates in this movie. I guess air pirates. If you have air pirates in a Ghibli movie, that's going to put you in my top ranking. They're incredibly funny, and they're one of those, you know, red herring villains, I guess. At the beginning you think, oh, they're the bad guys of the movie, but there's a bigger bad who's voiced in the English dub by Mark Hamill, which, you know, that's points there for having a great villain voice, and he's a very scary villain. The stakes in this movie are very, very high. Like Laputa, they're trying to find it, and the reason the villains are trying to track it down is because it's, like, got this incredible power source, and basically they're going to use it for, like, making weapons of mass destruction. So there are very high stakes for finding Laputa and keeping the villains from Laputa. There's a lot of, like, magical, mythical stuff in this movie, which usually isn't my cup of tea as much. I like more, like, grounded, realistic, real-world fantasy, but something about the way that this movie handles The fantasy elements just resonates with me, and I guess it's because it seems, for whatever reason, grounded, even though it is more fantastical than the other movies. I just really like the environment in this movie, between the kind of villages, the caves, the airships, and Laputa itself. And the ending of the movie is very exciting, with them running around this castle in the sky and, Patu trying not to fall off of it. It's just really, like I said, very high stakes and exciting, particularly at the end. But like I said, the main reason is Patu and Shiha's relationship is just very sweet to watch. So those are my top 3 Ghibli movies. Let me know what your top 3 or top 5 are, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!